Hey there, it's Brett of Booster Therapy, and it marks a new month. It's August 2020, and yeah, we have another giveaway. In July, we gave away a Gargeroth EDH deck, complete with all the goodies. It was valued around $250 or more dollars, with around $300 with the deck box and everything. And well, we're doing it again. This time, I figured I'd show the commander. So we're gonna give away a full commander deck of Tatiova Benthic Druid. I'm going to be building that. It's going to be worth $200+. It's going to have a deck box, sleeved up, everything that you would need to pull it out of the box, play, and have a lot of fun, be focused, and, well, hopefully stomp your friends. So all you have to do in this month to qualify is the same as last month. Just comment on our videos, be a subscriber, make sure you're liking the videos. At the end of the month, we're going to gather all of these comments, pick one person at random, and that person is going to get that deck. We're going to ship it to you. It doesn't matter if you're in the United States or outside of the US. We're going to give it to you just for watching, being a subscriber, and enjoying the content. So, without further ado, enjoy the video. Have a great day. Welcome back to Booster Therapy, your cure for that pack cracking addiction. We are here with another episode of Commanding Presence. Before we get into the deck and start breaking it down, just a couple quick notes. If you're looking to support Booster Therapy, it's super easy. We have a Patreon. There's a handful of links in the description below. Most importantly, if you want to see this specific deck list or if you want to purchase the deck, make sure you click the link below for our TCG Player affiliate link. It'll actually lead you right to the deck list. Then if you want to purchase from there, you can go ahead. And we also have a website, boostertherapy.com, and you can buy fancy Booster Therapy dice just like this, as well as a handful of other things like play mats. So please, if you're looking for ways to support us, head on out to those different areas, check things out. It does help. Without further ado, let's get into this deck. Today, we're breaking down Nylea, Keen-Eyed, the new Theros god. So how this one works is it's 3 colorless and a green for a 5/6 indestructible legendary enchantment creature. As long as your devotion to green is less than 5, Nylea isn't a creature. Creature spells cost 1 less to cast, and then we can pay 3, reveal the top card of our library. If it's a creature card, put it into your hand, otherwise put it in your graveyard. So it lets us get to our answers. So with this deck, it's all about smashing things, having fun, and playing big boy creatures, which is the whole goal of everybody wanting to play Magic. We're all Timmies at heart, where we just want to punch and smash through to victory. So that's the idea here. And first, we're going to go over the ramp. The first card we have is Wild Growth. It's a pretty effective 1-mana ramp spell, especially in mono green. Elvish Mystic, our little mana dorks, are always essential for mono green smashy decks. They just play well as a body, but also very clean, effective mana ramp. Soul Ring, what would a deck be without a beautiful Soul Ring? Llanowar Elves, exactly the same as Elvish Mystic. It's just doubling down on that idea. And Arbor Elf, not quite the same, but very similar. The upside here is that if we have Wild Growth on a forest, we can then tap that forest, untap, and tap it again, and ultimately net 4 mana out of it with Arbor Elf. And 2-mana ramp, we have Rampant Growth, one of the criminally underplayed cards in Commander. Honestly, it's just effective 2-mana ramp that gives you an actual land and not an artifact, so it's a bit less fragile. The Arcane Signet, I've said it before, similar to Soul Ring. At this point in the game, I feel like every deck needs a Soul Ring, every deck needs an Arcane Signet. Sakura, Tribe Elder. Steve is just a super effective ramp spell. It's a body. Again, it's also 2-mana ramp. All of the things you're looking for. Cultivate, a standard in the ramp world. Llanowar Tribe, I was looking for an excuse to get to use this bad boy, and mono green is exactly that. So 3 mana, 3/3. The devotion is also nice here because having the Llanowar Tribe with Nylea, you're already 1 away from actually turning Nylea online and making her an indestructible creature. Migration Path, I like that this actually is like, it's just explosive vegetation, but better, because we can cycle it and draw if we're in a situation where we don't need the land. Nyx Lotus, our devotion is going to be out of control, so this thing could be tapping for insane amounts of mana. And of course, Nissa Who Shakes the World. It's kind of our top-end mana-heavy mana ramp, but hey, some people play Gilded Lotus. This is just better when we're playing mono green, right? All the extra utility plus doubling our mana pool. Next, we're gonna go over some of our big beastie boys and our way to just build that board state win and get a little bit of devotion too. The first few are specific to devotion. Gigantosaurus, 5 mana, 10/10. The best part about this is if it's on the battlefield and Nylea is out there, it is online and you're ready to just stomp. Primal Crux, its power and toughness are equal to your devotion, which is a huge focus of this deck, is really pressing that devotion so we could have a 15/15 or a 20/20 trample if we're in a really good place. And if you realize this, I mean, 6 mana, by himself, he's a 6/6 trample for 6. Colony Hydra. So this one has a reduction in its mana cost for each green creature we control. So as we're ramping and playing our mana dorks, he just gets cheaper and cheaper and eventually ends up usually being around a 4 or 5 mana 8/8 trample that also beasts out our devotion. Next one is Oracle of Moldaya. I love just being able to eat the lands out of the way. I also love getting to play an extra land per turn. Oracle is incredibly good at that. Also recently reprinted in Jumpstart. Ghalta, Primal Hunger, another one that is quite frequently a 2 mana 12/12 trample. That is where the value comes from on this one. It is just worth playing. The Seedborn Muse, so we can untap our permanents, so we don't have to sit there and hesitate. Should we smash in? Do we have to be afraid of a crackback? Seedborn gives us that flexibility to say, hey, slap everybody right in the mouth, and then get ready to battle them again. Yeva, Nature's Herald, Flash. Getting Flash in this deck is super important. It just helps us kind of work around those board wipes and get in when we need to, especially in green where really you only have one haste mechanic or a couple haste options that really work for you. Neither are actually in this deck, so Flash is really our benefit or our way to play around it. Garrix Harbinger, I just love this guy. I love the hexproof from black. I love the 3 mana 4/3, and that extra card draw is just kind of icing on the cake. The Elder Gargeroth, this thing just packs a punch. This has to be one of my most favorite cards in recent years. I loved everything about this one. It is Vigilance, Reach, Trample, 6/6 for 5, and then you can create tokens, gain life, or draw more cards. Courser of Crufix, kind of the same idea as Oracle of Moldaya, a little bit nerfed version of it, but still just getting to play those lands off the top, getting to our creature spells like we want to. The World Spine Worm, because who doesn't want 8, 9, 10, 11 mana 15/15 trample that when it dies, it kind of replaces itself. Another Nylea, God of the Hunt. This way we have trample across the board. That's kind of our biggest hang up, is not all of our creatures have trample. We want to make sure that we never have a reason to slow down and nobody can chump block us. This is one of the ways to get there. The Destiny Spinner, another underplayed card. One, it turns our lands into creatures, which can be useful in a pinch, but more importantly, is creatures and enchantment spells can't be countered. That means Nylea, who is our commander, also can't be countered, which is great. Questing Beast, 4/4 for 4, Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Can't be blocked by 2 or more. The biggest thing here is combat damage that we deal can't be prevented, which it's not just Questing Beast, and I think a lot of people misread this. It's all of the combat damage we deal can't be prevented. Vigor, because everything gets bigger with vigor. Azusa, Lost But Seeking, just getting to play again some of those lands, especially when we can play it off the top and just keep digging to our creatures. Scavenging Ooze, just a great utility card. It really helps us get in front of those cards that are casting from their graveyards, whether it's Reanimator decks or flashback type mechanics. It really just helps us control the board state a little bit. Collector Oof, a similar idea. It really gets in the way of different artifacts, making those mana rocks, for those who are very reliant on it, totally turn offline, as well as any of those high ability, Aether Flux Reservoir, things like that, those win condition artifacts. Arasta of the Endless Web. I love this one because it really encourages opponents to not be countering spells, and if they do, we benefit from it. So a 3/5 for 4 that gives us creature tokens whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery is just solid. Goreclaw, it's another clean way to get trample with our creatures when we swing away. Ultimately, too, it's a great little ramp spell. The Worm Coil engine, because boy do I love Worm Coil engine. If I can find a way to play this, especially with all the reduction we get in this deck, we're gonna do it. The Tender Shoot Dryad. It's just filling up that board presence, giving us more and more and more Saprolines, which can benefit from some of our finishers. Cavalier of Thorns. We're in mono green, the devotion works well, and this ramps on its way in and gives us some advantage on the way out. So just a nice little utility creature for mono green. Next, we're going to talk about some of our card draw, because you can't win Magic without a little bit of that card advantage. First thing we have here is Life Crafter's Bestiary. So getting to scry every single upkeep with the added benefit of paying 1 to draw a card when we cast creature spells. Primordial Sage, it's just a really expensive way to get that cast trigger and draw more cards. Return of the Wild Speaker. I'm still shocked that this is like less than $2. This is such a good draw spell. It is also a very clean finisher, and this is all at instant speed. I think this is insanely undervalued for as good as this can play. Colossal Majesty, almost getting a card draw every single turn. I mean, it's often that almost all of our creatures are going to get to that 4 power, so this is just a great way to draw 2 cards every turn. Eternal Witness, giving us some of that card advantage back, getting the things that we want to play over and over again, or whatever people have removed, we can put back into our hand. Fauna Shaman, a great way to tutor the answers we need, the big boy creatures, some of the removal creatures, whatever it is that we need in a pinch, Fauna Shaman helps us. The Primordial Hydra, this one we can dump a bunch of mana in, especially if we have someone like Nissa out there, get a ton of 1/1 counters on this, and just hurt people. Not really card advantage, but a beast of a creature. Beast Whisperer, speaking of beasts, is whenever we cast a creature spell, draw a card. Vivian Monster's Advocate. I love that this, similar to Oracle of Moldaya, except for creatures, works with the top of the library and getting to cast creatures from the top. So if we're revealing that top card, we have this and Oracle. We can play lands, we can play creatures. We just really expand our hand size. Sylvan Library, because it's mono green. Sylvan Library is insane. Natural Order, this way we can sack one of our mana dorks and get the World Spire Worm or one of our finishers, whatever we ultimately need. Vizier of the Menagerie, similar to the Vivian we just talked about, getting to cast creatures from the top of our library. And of course, Guardian Project, a card that continues to rise in price. It's one of the most effective card draw spells for creature decks in Commander at this point. Next, we're going to talk about a handful of our utility non-creature spells. The first one is Caged Sun, doubling our mana pool, giving our creatures +1/+1. It's just a beast of a card to deal with, really making things like Primordial Hydra gigantic, making it easy to play multiple spells in turn, or to activate more card draws with Nylea. It's whatever we need. Heroic Intervention, one of those ways that we stop ourselves from being board wiped in a pinch. Sandworm Convergence. We are getting big on our mana, and this card is just rude. It's really hard to interact with. It locks down the flying creatures, and then we just get a worm a turn. A worm a turn. Asceticism. Getting to regenerate our creatures, because people have really gotten away from strict Wrath of Gods or Damnations. It's a lot of destroy all creature mechanics without the regeneration clause. So regenerating actually does work with this, but the real upside is giving all of our creatures hexproof. And then Vivian, Champion of the Wilds, it's doubling down on that flash mechanic, giving our creatures flash as well as drawing some cards off of it. Next, we're going to talk about a handful of our removal spells with this deck. The first one we have is one of my favorites. It is Bane of Progress. So with all of the artifacts and enchantments that tend to fill the board up by the time you cast this, he benefits immensely, but he is literally a board wipe for artifacts and enchantments, which is awesome. Acidic Slime, answering any of the pesky lands that are slowing us down, or the artifacts or enchantments more than likely that are really getting in the way of our goals. Vivian Reed, so there is a lot of utility in this. We can draw from it, but also we can destroy artifacts, enchantments, or flying creatures. Its ultimate is also devastating. If you get a chance to ult this, it is nuts. Beast Within, if you're playing green, I would recommend this unless you have access to a lot of other colors. In mono green, Beast Within should always exist. And Ugin the Spirit Dragon. We've got big mana. This just gives us that lightning bolt a turn, or we can wipe the board from a ton of permanents if we've kind of been set back. It gives us a lot of fun utility and really makes us control the threat value. The last thing we're going to talk about here is going to be our finishers. The first one is God Eternal Ronus. So when this comes into enters the battlefield, we get to double the power of all of our creatures. So if we have a nice, healthy board state where everything's strong and big, this doubles that and just really does the damage. It also gets to go back into our deck if it does die and get us that extra advantage. Overwhelming Stampede, everybody gets +X equal to the greatest power and trample. So very clean finisher, just stomp away. Triumph of the Hordes, if we can't get big enough, let's make things more and more deadly. Triumph giving us Infect, +1/+1 and trample, all for the low price of 4 mana. And of course, the Craterhoof Behemoth. You're playing mono green, boys and girls. Mono green! Please play Craterhoof. He demands to be played. He's an absolute winner. He is a champion of all mono green decks. And we'll do a quick spread through the lands. We're not going to go into the details. Again, click that link for the deck description below. It heads you out to TCG Player. You can see the whole deck. You can see the whole lands that I've chosen to go with and the budget of it. Feel free to check that out. That is it, though. That is Nylea Keen-Eyed Commander deck tech. It is a ton of fun to play Green Stompy and punch people in the face. Until next time, this is Booster Therapy. You have a wonderful rest of your day.